I think because some people know the sheriff quite intimately and others do not. So if you've ever been served papers,
yes, if you've ever been evicted,
yes,
and don't ask me how I know about this. If you've ever been evicted, you know who the sheriff is. There's a president, there's a governor. That's in Georgia.
Good.
President, governor, senate, congressman, mayor, and sheriff. I think that's another important electoral seat that a lot of Kenyans don't understand. You know, like the sheriff.
Right.
You know, like, because it's not, you know, like law enforcement officers are not voted for in Kenya. So I think that's another one that I think people need to do some research.
I think because some people know the sheriff quite intimately and others do not. So if you've ever been served papers,
yes, if you've ever been evicted,
yes,
and don't ask me how I know about this. If you've ever been evicted, you know who the sheriff is. So that's very important to know who your sheriff is.
Are they the ones who bring that paper that is in triplicate, then it's put on the door?
And it's yellow in color.
Yes, yes, that one.
That's so specific.
And it comes after it comes around after the 16th, something like that.
No, it doesn't come. They give you a chance. It's normally not even after the 16th. They give, because you have to go to court first.
Right.
So a sheriff, his job is to enforce a court order.
Right.
Correct.
So you know the difference between the system here is that, like back in Kenya, you know, like the executive kind of still controls the police, and that's the reason why very senior government officials cannot be arrested. But here you have sheriffs who are not answerable to anyone but the electorate. They're elected. So when the court gives an order, it doesn't matter who you are. You know, like you will, and that yellow piece of paper, it's just a polite way of telling you, get the hell out of here before we get you out of here.
But I thought it's also like a demand. Say, like, if you make this payment by X, then you don't have to leave.
So I think that's the nitty gritty. I think that's the nitty gritty. But ultimately, they're each area has
its own rules.
Yeah, so some people you might have 10 days, some you might have 2 months, 3 months.
Different.
And I don't know what color the papers are, but the papers are given.
Oh, trust me, I know.
But in addition to that,
it's yellow from.
Trust me, I know that.
When I had gone into a building, I saw it was.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah, it was. It was a building that I went to.
But in addition to that, if I decide that I'm going to sue somebody, you know, the sheriff might be the one who goes and to serve you. And different areas have different rules about that. I might be able to put it in the mail, but you always have to prove that you served a person. And the best way to prove it is to have the sheriff's office do it, because they are then going to file the paperwork to the courts and say, we served this person at this time, this
on
particular
day X, at this place. Document.
Now, if you happen to live in a more rural area, that sheriff is very important, because they do all of this, and it's a smaller group of people. They're probably more intimately aware of who the constituents are. I live in a pretty large county district, and so I know my sheriff's name. His name is Jay Fisher. I'm familiar what he looks like, and you know what the officers are like. If you go into the court and have anything, even if you're just trying to get like a land deed or something, you're going to interact with the sheriffs. They're the ones who are making sure that the courthouse is safe.
Especially when you go to those smaller counties, you know, like when you're driving towards Ocean City, you may drive through some of those rural counties. And some of those rural counties is where, you know, like the same person who's enforcing court orders is also the same person who might be pulling you over.
Who will pull you over, and is the same guy who you see as the prosecutor.
And sometimes, sometimes, you know, like they pull you over. Sometimes they'll just take you back to your dad if you're a local person, because they know you.
You know, like
it's a small town thing. It's a very different.
And plus, the guy may have grown up there, so it's like,
come on, chief.
And this is one Mike's son.
Let me just take him back home. You know, like
they might even call you, like, I'm here with your son.
Come pick him up. So these are very important things to know, because I think with Kenyans, we just tend to be happy with the situations we have, and we sometimes tend to detach to some of these small details, especially in these communities that you just saw a house on Zillow and you're like, oh, this looks like a nice house, let me go live there, and you've not researched the area and the neighborhood. So these are the small details that actually sometimes do matter.